Hello and welcome to the Oregon Files podcast. This is our 60th episode. 60 UFOs. We're going to cover some UFOs because that is always a fun topic. But first, our disclaimer: we are novice.
You
podcasters.
can say either one.
I know. What at this point, we're just podcasters, we're simply for entertainment and knowledge.
At this point, we're just podcasters.
We're just podcasters.
At this point,
now.
we're just here.
Yeah, we're just here. We're somehow in the zeitgeist. We're here for entertainment and knowledge. If we misquote or offend, it was not on purpose to do so. Yeah. Once again, we're going to be reading some stuff off the internet, stuff that we discovered. If we mispronounce a name, if we mispronounce your name and you saw a UFO, please be upset and let us know, and we will discuss it live on air. And my co-host, Elliot Bowman.
Please take the word knowledge lightly as well, too.
Oh, boy.
Because
everything we say is concrete evidence.
That's right. That's right. Number 60. Very, very exciting. Out of 60 episodes, what stands out to you the most from doing this last, I think we're working on 3 years here.
Amazing interviews. We've had some amazing people on who've told us some crazy stuff on and off the mic. I still, honestly, the one that still gets me is the New Odessa.
Okay.
Down in Southern Oregon there. Only for the fact that we talked about it, did it, and all of a sudden Ukraine gets, I just went, that one still gets me. That one still gets to me. How about you?
Well, all the episodes are my favorites, of course, but I think mine that's kind of up there would be the Walter Maxey one.
Oh yeah,
with the woman discovering how her father was murdered and the investigation with that, and then the people's availability to come on and talk with us, people that we've never met, and their willingness to come on and do interviews with us. I think that says a lot about people in this community to want to put their voice out there. Either if they're from an organization or if they're just a musician or, if they have a story to tell. I find that pretty incredible that people will make time out of their week to come on and talk with us. So,
yeah. And
I think when we started this, I don't really had any vision of, the stories we were going to find, the people we were going to talk to, but it's been pretty incredible that we're now 60 episodes in. And what a better way to celebrate 60 episodes with UFO stories and some government conspiracies.
It's the only way to do it.
That's the only way to rein it in.
It's the only way. This is why it's the Oregon Files podcast.
That's right. And also, we've got some really good friends that we like to mention. Too Shy Brewery. Boy, they brew some good beers. Even in the wintertime when it's cold out like today, they got the heat lamps going on their patio. You can actually go inside and check out their menu options. They have food trucks rotating on a weekly basis. I think they still do music on the weekends. But you want to check that out on their Instagram page. And they're also owners of Abandoned Brewery Pizza and Reedsport. They have a Too Shy location too. So thank you.
Very popular. And then we also have Video Games Plus and Level Up Frozen Yogurt located in Roseburg, Oregon, off Stevens Street. Level Up Frozen Yogurt. They have new flavors every month, fresh fruit, all kinds of toppings. Just fun to do. Build your own yogurt thing. They usually play a movie in there so you can sit there and relax. They have great seating. Always keeps it very clean, which is nice. Coloring contests?
Of all ages. You don't have to be a kid to do the coloring contest.
I love
They do all age contests.
I love they post that stuff on Facebook too, who wins. And of course, the video game side has, and it's cool. Like I said, you can get your yogurt and then go walk around, look at video games, board games, t-shirts, disc golf.
Pinball machine.
Pinball machines. Huge. Right. Huge. And they have really cool pinball machines there. Great place, great people there. And if you go in and just say, hey, I heard them from the Oregon Files podcast, and you're going to say, what? And who?
No, right. No other bonus besides the confusion.
Yeah. You want to confuse somebody behind the counter who's still in high school.
That's right. How you do. Good people there.
So, El, today, you ready for this?
Yes.
First, a disclaimer. If you work for the News Review, based here in Roseburg, Oregon, please respond to my emails, my phone calls.
Come on.
I know
we're just trying to do some research.
I'm willing to give credit. You know what I mean? I'm willing to pay for this too. I cannot get anyone from the News Review to reply to an email, anything like that. And even you email info@newsreview.com, you're not getting a response.
Right. You think you would get some info.
You think you get something. I'm just trying to find older articles because I know there's UFO articles published in the News Review in the last 60, 70 years.
Old accounts. Mm-hmm.
But that besides the point, I went ahead still.
That's beside the point.
Beside the point. So what I want to do first is a quick little review of some historical stuff for UFOs that's happened in Oregon. Then I'm going to get to some very nitty gritty Douglas County, Roseburg, Oregon stuff. Okay. So first I want to go with traveloregon.com. They had a great thing called a UFO Chaser's Guide to Oregon. This was done by Mr. Ben McBee, and a very recent article. So it's really cool to have this done. It's done in 2020. And this just kind of talks about the quick history of it. Really, Oregon UFO stuff began, you could say 1950, May 11th, 1950, 9 miles southwest of McMinnville in Sheridan. Evelyn Trent was feeding the animals behind her farmhouse when she spotted a disc-like object silently floating in the evening sky. Rushing inside, she alerted her husband, Paul, who grabbed her Kodiak Roamer camera and quickly snapped a pair of pictures before the metallic thing sped beyond the horizon. Eventually, the images, considered among the most famous in ufology, been an international debate and media frenzy ever since. What's crazy about it is it's one of those things that they can't debunk. The main theory for his photos is that someone threw a metal trash can lid in the air and took a photo of it. But the shadow it's casting, all that kind of stuff doesn't really add up. So that's really the first time, UFO stuff started, becoming real big in Oregon. Now, we do have, of course, the term flying saucer was coined. Remember, we talked about this too, near Pendleton, Oregon. This was in 1947. When Private Pilot Kenneth Arnold was flying past Mount Rainier when he noticed a string of 9 UFOs moving in a diagonal pattern in the rural skies. This is in the eastern Oregon town of Pendleton. He shared his tale with the local newspaper using the term flying saucer. That is where the term exploded. Then we have Gold Beach in 1949. This one's a pretty good one. I like this one. Nearly 1 year before the 1950 sighting in Sheridan, 5 anglers were fishing near the mouth of the Rogue River on Oregon's southern coast, where they witnessed a shiny plate-shaped object in the air, both unaided and without binoculars. 2 of the group worked in aeronautics and estimated it was a mile away and soaring at 5,000 feet. Redmond, September 24th, 1959, in the high desert of central Oregon. Early rising residents of Redmond were surprised when a radiant mass drifted into the airspace outside of town. The space race against, of course, the Soviet Union was still underway, as was the Cold War. So the incident received an aggressive military response. 6 F-102 jets were scrambled to intercept the intruder.
Dang.
According to an FAA report filed by the administrator at the Redmond airport, radar tracking showed the craft jumping extreme distances and elevations almost instantaneously. The final reading registered 52,000 feet, much higher than a passenger plane's cruising altitude. We have Mount St. Helens, March 17, 1981. During early hours of a chilled, foggy March morning, St. Helens police officers observed a massive orange glowing ball of light slowly moving up the Columbia River toward Portland from their quiet community just north of the big city. At first, it feared it was an airplane, but the odd revving, screeching noises, and blinding brightness swiftly changed their minds. Now, keep in mind, this is police officers. The department contacted authorities at the Portland International Airport, which reportedly confirmed the UFO's presence on radar, only to call back 5 minutes later and reverse their previous statement.
Why do you think they did that?
Oh boy. Oh boy. As the day broke, a bank of fog obscured the officers' visual contact. Then they picked up, pick up a sound as if it had zoomed up and left. July 23rd, 1998 in Hubbard, Oregon. We're getting closer now to modern times. Oregon farms often create corn mazes and artistic designs that are visible from the air. But in the summer of 1998, when a passing plane spotted intricate shapes in a wheat field near Hubbard in Oregon's rural Willamette Valley, nobody could come up with any obvious human explanations. It was one of the first crop circles kind of registered in Oregon. Upon closer inspection, several people claimed to feel ill due to residual electromagnetic energy. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. The locals said that it's been going on since the 1920s when they were interviewed.
Gosh.
That's the crazy part too.
They just like hung around there.
Apparently
Everyone's got
so.
like an extra eyeball.
Man, it's just wild, right?
Do you think, how like our pop culture, we watch a lot of alien movies, shows, tons of it. Do you think aliens watch like human shows and like TV? Like, do you think there's like produced like that,
Oh yeah.
Like there's like series based off like what humans may look like?
Can you imagine? That would be absolutely amazing. Like it's like keeping up with the Kardashians or like watching something like that, but just like a little off, like they're all in different colors,
Just something's not right
Something's
about it.
not right about it. And it's just almost offensive to us.
Right. Like Mars attacks, but it's like Earth attacks.
Yes.
It's just completely like reversed. Like,
oh man, that would be a pretty funny movie to make actually.
Right.
Aliens' point of view of Earth.
right.
And like,
Or like human culture. Like,
It shows like a bunch of like aliens wearing like human skin costumes. And they're like, you got to pay your taxes. And you're like,
That's right.
it's too funny. Too funny. You got to register to vote.
Right.
Sylvie's Valley Ranch, July 2019. Things got weirder in July 2019 when ranchers at the far-flung Sylvie's Valley Ranch, 30 miles south of John Day in the hills of eastern Oregon, encountered the remains of 5 bulls on the property. There were no tracks or signs of trauma other than missing body parts that were removed with surgical precision.
What the?
There's no tire marks, though, when there's like, you know what I mean? Because like, you get pretty rugged out there, and it's sometimes muddy, like that kind of stuff. In fact, there's no tire marks, no nothing, no like, four-wheeler. That part's always the weirdest part to me. Like, no one heard a helicopter land and chainsaws going off.
Right.
So anyways, I wanted to kind of segue from that. I just want to give a little history because Oregon's not immune to UFO stuff by any means.
Got a lot of rural areas.
Yeah. So let's go with I'm going to go with the bigger discovery I made. This was just kind of me doing some research. I want to start with this one here. This is from Nuforc, Nuforc. It's like Oregon's MUFON, basically.
Got it. I'm
going to read the story here, but then where it's going to get creepy. So this takes place July 13th, 2012. This is in Roseburg, Oregon. Case number S90847. Friday, July 13th, 2012, noticed the neighbor's horse started making noise while my husband and I were having dinner on our deck. Caught out of the corner of my eye a bright object coming over the horizon. I was facing south. It was bright orange with a red spot behind it, very large and bright, moving slow, rising at a 30-degree angle or so. Seemed to stop and then turn towards us, which is towards the left. Then started heading back toward the horizon. Once it started turning, the light started dimming quickly and completely went out before reaching the horizon. The lights were solid, no flashing, and the red light disappeared at the turning point. This lasted for about a minute. Once lights disappeared, the neighbor's horse went silent. The sky was clear and hadn't noticed any stars yet, probably about 9:30 p.m. The horizon is not far from us, about 2 miles. Side note, we do sit out quite often and watch the sky. We've watched many planes at night, but none like this before. Here's where it gets interesting, right? I'm like, okay, maybe they saw something, that kind of thing. The problem is the MUFON website in the Pacific Northwest, all the way from Washington, California, British Columbia, Canada, California, Northern California, and then there are 12 more sightings.
How is this not like a full-blown invasion?
How is it not bigger? And I'm like,
right.
This gave me chills.
What the heck?
And sure enough,
I've seen this movie.
Then we have Lake Oswego. Same time, this is 1:30 a.m. Bright white and red lights traveling in a non-conventional way. My roommate and I were outside on the porch having a cigarette and we noticed it. And so this kind of goes, I think people some too outside smoking a cigarette notice stuff. Washington at 2 p.m. Cylinder-shaped dark brown craft, not shining, no sound. I live 30 miles south of SeaTac Airport, and we've seen a few commercial airlines fly over, but nothing that's cylinder-shaped and just a dark brown craft. West Sacramento, California. This was at 10:03 p.m. on July 12th. So this was actually the night before. This one's funny. Square object with 4 cornered white lights. I was working at 10 p.m. I was outside when I noticed an object coming from the northeast and over me in a straight path. So that's I always love the square objects ones. So, on triangles.
Square object.
Yeah. Yes. Is that wild? Langley, British Columbia. This was on July 14th. So this is a day after the Roseburg sighting. These people actually report being abducted. They're outside smoking. It was 3 a.m. and they reported being abducted and getting scratch marks on their arms. This one is July 13th, also in British Columbia. Rapid moving orb or craft captured sighting on my cell phone video camera from miles away through the windshield of my car. It was the middle of the night. Once again, Vancouver, British Columbia, July 12th. Night vision goggles saw what looked like to be a meteor or star that was changing multiple directions at 11:30 at night. Gilroy, California, July 13th, 9:30 p.m. Light in the night sky, performing zigzag patterns, just observing the night sky above a ridgetop on the north side of Coyote Lake between 9:30 and 10 p.m. Jolon, Jolon, California, July 14th, 2012 at 1:35. Taking pictures while visiting the mission there. Object showed up in pictures only, not to naked eye. And then another one here is just this orange blinking light drifting into the sky and then fading away orange. So that's the one, once again, this is the next day, July 14th at midnight, California. This describes almost exactly what the people in Oregon saw, as well. So very interesting. I kind of like that's a little cluster sighting there.
Right.
Now, that being said, I want to go to some more recent stuff. I'm going to go to 2013 now. So we did 2012, right? A little cluster sighting in the summer. Oh, by the way, I did do the little bit of research on that. There was no comets or meteor showers at that time, because that was my other thing too. Because July would be like, to
That's
me,
true.
scream that type of. The meteor showers in 2012 were actually either in April or late August. There was nothing in July.
Debunk that.
I thought that was, yeah, I double checked that one. Boy. Okay. Now, I got to add a little humor, because sometimes we get to the stuff in Roseburg. You got to find stuff. So the first two things I did, thanks to the Google help with finding stuff from the News Reviews police logs. We have this one from January 16th, 2013, 5:37 p.m. A woman on Buckhorn Road and Brown Road in Roseburg saw a black object with a trail of fire behind it. She couldn't tell if it was a fireball or UFO. What doesn't help is 3 minutes later at 5:40 p.m., the odor of marijuana was emanating from a gray pickup in the parking lot. So, all right. Take that with a grain. Now we have.
Take that what you want.
So now let's go to September 22nd, 2015. 4:03 p.m., unidentified objects seen floating overhead in the 100 block of T. Marie Lane in Myrtle Creek. The call before that was a caller reporting being a victim of a Nigerian money exchange scam. It doesn't matter, but I just thought it was fun to point out. Okay, now we're into 2019. This actually occurred on December 16th, 2019. So 5 years ago? This is a spear that was reported. The duration lasted for 5 minutes. Now, this one I like, because this one we have some, so this guy saw a large chrome ball flying in the night sky, and his uncle claims to have seen it 3 times in Mexico. I was on my way to work at the lumber mill in Oregon. It was December, about 5 a.m. in the morning. Coming up the road towards the mill, I looked up at this clear night sky and saw what appeared to be a large chrome ball. There were no lights on it, but the chrome seemed to be light itself. However, the air around it didn't have a glowing haze or anything. He goes, it's hard to describe. I could see it was slowly following the river across the highway near the mill. I slowed to a stop to watch it. It moved awfully slow, and I was taking it in detail. It really looked like chrome, and I saw no windows. It seemed to be about the size of a pickup truck. It kept going until some tree obscured my vision, and I started to drive up the driveway to work. I was in awe of what I saw. It didn't occur to me to grab my phone to snap a picture. However, I had a cheap phone with a bad camera, and the photo would not have come out in the night sky. The mill is a large complex and has many tall lights. It seems the object may have been inspecting the mill, perhaps trying to discover what it was. I discussed this with my uncle, who was a Green Beret in Vietnam and who did 27 years of special forces. He told me he has seen the chrome ball 3 times in Mexico and one flying saucer about 30 feet above his head. He also claims that some men in black showed up to his house in Mexico while he was away, and the neighbors told him about it. My uncle now lives in an undisclosed location on a beach in central Mexico.
I bet it's undisclosed.
Yeah, I bet. We're in 2022 now, Roseburg, Oregon. This is near Skull Creek Camp, Oregon. Have you ever heard of Skull Creek Camp?
Skull?
Skull, like, yeah.
Like
the cabeza. It's the head. It's
like
skull.
the cabeza.
Skull Creek Camp.
No, I'm kind of glad I haven't heard of Skull Creek
Me
Camp.
neither.
Sounds like where a lot of bandits hang out like in a video game.
No kidding. This is New Fork UFO sighting 172119. It hovered above my head 100 feet. I noticed unusual lighting in the sky and decided to mess with it with a laser pointer. It moved over me at the bottom, and it was lit up white and tried to match the sky stars, but to me it looked wrong for a star, and it dumbfounded me. I think he meant to say dumbfounded me, but he spelled it like done, D-U-N-E space founded.
Oh, no.
Okay. So it dumbfounded me, and I did not get a picture of it. It's there every night in the same place. I believe it's watching over. It's ground base. I need help to put a big screen and make a show on the screen. We are interested in meeting.
What? Like interested in a meeting?
He wants to contact it. This is so...
With a big, like a projector?
Yeah,
he wants to do like a little presentation, like a PowerPoint? Hello, aliens.
He points like someone waving on a big screen.
We are... Oh, he's doing like the little finger puppets with like the little shadow.
Oh, boy. That occurred on September 25th, 2022. He reported it October 1st, 2022. So he just wants, it's Skull Creek Camp, Oregon. There's a base there. There's a UFO there every night. So if you guys want to see it, it's, this guy's more than willing to help you out.
But please don't take our word for it.
Use the laser pointer. Apparently it makes him mad. I don't know. I just, that was a good one. We get New Fork UFO sighting case 174758, February 28, 2023, Roseburg Green District, southeast of Roseburg, directly east Green District, almost above the I-5. Saw 3, but only one was visible by the time I got the phone for a picture. Saw 3 objects floating in the formation with a long streamer dangling below each one. By the time I got my phone, only one was visible. So my first thought's balloon, right? Thought it might be a balloon or a helicopter until I saw it instantly do a pinpoint vectored 45-degree turn, changing its heading from north to northeast. They appeared to be somewhere east of I-5 when I first spotted them. They were directly east of Green on southwest of Roseburg, Oregon. They were going slow enough that the hanging streamer was swaying forward and backward in relation to its travel instead of streaming behind. So you'd expect your string to be behind if it's floating, right? But the fact that the string was almost in front of it moving around.
That makes no sense.
So here's the deal. The guy got a photo of it. I'm going to show Ellie the photo. Once again, still kind of looks like a balloon to me.
It does kind of look like a balloon.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will say this, though. I had heard about this one outside of New Fork. I was told about this. I don't want to disclose too much because someone could track the person down. They may not want to be interviewed about it, but somebody I know showed me pictures from their front porch of this as well and told me about it. And when I went and looked, I was like, yeah, that's the same time that person told me about this thing. And that was a credible witness. Told me about this as well. So that was in 2023. I'm like, okay, that one's pretty good. We have another one in 2023. This was July 7th, 2023. This is in Roseburg, Oregon. This is towards Glide. Moving from north to south is a cylinder. Long cylinder shape moved from north to south across the eastern skyline in Roseburg. It was visible to the naked eye in the daylight. We saw it for about 4 minutes. We failed to get a photo, so we were hoping to use our telescope to get a good image, and it moved out of our sight at that time. Now, my favorite one, and once again, I don't know how this one did not make the news, because this was recent. This is November 1st and 2nd, Pacific Northwest.
I'm sure I have a good reason why a lot of these probably don't make the news.
This one, this is one of those ones I'm like, if I don't see this on some sort of like Josh Gates TV show or something like that, or, UFO chasers or whatever. November 1st, a pilot and his first officer on a commercial flight near Lakeview, Oregon, on their way through Douglas County, observed multiple bright white lights moving independently at high speeds, estimated around Mach 3 from their position at 36,000 feet. The lights appear to circle each other, occasionally forming a triangle and increasing in speed with intensity, while remaining roughly 90 to 100 miles away. The sighting lasted about 45 minutes.
What the heck?
The objects appearing and disappearing intermittently. Air traffic control confirmed no military activity in the area, and a local driver mentioned similar sightings reported by other flight crews recently. The next night, the same crew on a flight then from Los Angeles to Boise observed another remarkable display. A series of bright white lights formed triangle shapes, moved at high speeds, and exhibited unusual behavior. Initially, 2 lights appeared, followed by a vivid triangle formation of 3 lights that seemed to rotate and shift. Additional lights joined, creating multiple triangles, some of which grew in size or appeared to collapse into lines. The lights continued throughout the flight, often forming groups of 5 and seemed to center over Northern California and Central Oregon. During descent, the pilot observed 2 glowing lights in the clouds, which then disappeared. There's full reports on the New Fork website on those.
That is crazy.
There's a lot of detail, but that is very recent. We're talking just over a month ago. And those are pilots. They don't make that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to see it for 45 minutes.
All right.
Every other one of these cases was like maybe 5 minutes tops.
Right.
These guys observed it for 45 minutes. But to be able to see it's just nuts.
Do you think they were like freaking out?
What do you do? Do you tell everyone on the plane, like, hey, folks, if you look to your left, you're going to see some UFOs? Like, I get so many questions because...
Right.
Yeah.
You just got to stay calm. When you're flying an airplane, you can't be like panicking.
That's just it, right? I mean, what do you say? What do you do? There's so many questions, Anyways, great. The New Fork website, great for referencing, guys. A lot of great stories on there. I'm hoping to cover more in the future.
That was awesome.
But yeah, that 2012 cluster, that
is weird.
That gave me chills when I'm like, wait a minute, because it's like, hey, just so you know, all this other stuff happened at the same time, like, and then all of a sudden people are seeing the same color orbs and lights and that kind of stuff was really crazy.
Yeah, we'll never know the answer to it, but why?
Why? Right? Just crazy, So if you saw something in 2012 and the first, they're like,
you're not the only one.
Or July 12th to July 14th, there's a lot of reports.
As of June 1st, 2024, the National Defense, the U.S. Department of Defense, has been investigating from May 1st, 2023 to June 1st, 2024, over 1,600 reports of unidentified anomalies phenomenon. They don't call it UFOs. So, I mean, that's a lot. 1,600 from May to June. Yeah. And that's just that. I think that's just their reports of.
It's crazy. I feel like we know what a drone looks like now. We know what an airplane looks like now.
Right.
We know what a helicopter like. So the things that we would normally expect to be in the sky are easily identifiable. So you get to the point where you cannot, as a human in America, identify it. That you feel enough that you got to report it is crazy to me.
Right.
That's a lot of numbers for people to get to that point where they're reporting it.
And I think it to me, it's interesting where it's becoming such a, like I don't know, like it's becoming so widespread and wide known now that the government is saying, yeah, this is something that we're investigating. They're no longer trying to hide the fact that they do have reports of UFOs or whatever they're calling it, you know?
I love it. I love the theory that aliens do come to visit us like they're on vacation. Like they're come to see like a lower primitive.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like when we have an ant farm and we just watch an ant farm, they come and just watch us for a few minutes.
Yeah, and I was thinking like, do you know how there's like different shapes? You were saying square, triangle, do you think there's like Honda, like Toyota? Like, do you think there's like a Kia of like the UFOs, like the ships are flying? Right. Do you think they buy, there's like a used car lot somewhere, like on like a plant somewhere where they're like the alien husband and wife, like they go UFO like shopping or like whatever, they're craft shopping, you know?
I feel like the chrome balls and the more like the elite one, because that's going to look
like the Mercedes.
The cylinder one just seems terrible. That's like the,
it's the Hyundai.
It's the Hyundai. Yeah. It's just a box they got to fly around.
Do you think you get like different gas mileage?
Oh yeah. I don't think they even use gas.
Yeah, whatever they use.
Or you know what I mean? Something we don't even can't even comprehend. Turns out you mix
well, maybe they come to Earth and maybe they scoop up like part of like the Earth's garbage and they use that for their fuel.
That'd be amazing. They're just coming here. We're just a gas station.
The future,
we're the universe's gas station.
That could be it.
Man, I kind of like that.
There's a part of me that doesn't want to find out, but there's a part of me that does want to find out. You know what I mean?
That's how I feel about it too. You know what I mean?
Because the whole abduction thing, that part a little freaky to me. I don't know. I just envision fire in the sky and what that guy went through. No, thank you. Waking up and having to deal with all types of experiments, that is not something I would rather not find out myself. Interesting. From in 1996, the belief of aliens was about 20% in the United States. Jump up to 2022, the belief went up to 34%. So I found that kind of interesting that, the more stuff reported, the more people believe. And I also think with social media, there's a lot more connection. Yes. People can say, oh, I saw this. Oh, I saw this. People can kind of, be part of that conversation with seeing that sort of things. So when we talk about UFOs, we also have to talk about the aftermath of UFOs, which in pop culture and in, I don't know,
and this
conspiracies.
Is where Will Smith and
Tommy Lee Jones show up to your house and erase all your memories.
Yep.
The first man to report an encounter with men in black was in 1947. His name was Harold Dahl.
Whoa, that matches the same year as the flying saucer reported.
So Dahl reported that on June 21st, 1947, he was on a patrol boat with two men. They were snagging logs and taking them to mills to salvage fees. This takes place in Puget Sound, Washington.
Okay.
Around 2 p.m, Dahl's boat approached the east shore of Maury Island. Maury Island is now attached to Vashon Island, which is Vashon Island by a causeway road. It's about 6 miles west of Des Moines, Washington. Dahl looked in the sky and saw 6 objects floating about 2,000 feet above his ship. The objects were made of some reflective metal, donut-shaped, and about 100 feet in diameter. The center holes were about 25 feet in diameter. Dahl said he also saw round portholes and what he thought was an observation window. Whoa. 5 of the craft circled over the 6th, which dropped slowly. It stopped and hovered about 500 feet above the water. Now, for people to report this, we've talked about this before, but I don't know what makes it more credible when people report it from pre-internet age. I don't know. To me, it makes it so much more,
because there's no reason for them to write or to think.
Right.
You put something online today, oh, tell me your story, that kind of stuff. Back then, this guy's just reporting what he saw.
Dahl put to shore because he was afraid the center aircraft was going to crash into his boat.
Whoa.
Once ashore, he actually took several pictures. The lower ship stayed in position for about 5 minutes and the others still circling above. One of the ships left the formation and moved down, touching the lower ships. The two kept contact for several minutes until Dahl said he heard a thud. Thousands of pieces of what he thought were newspapers droppings from inside of the center ship. Most of the debris landed in the bay, though some hit the beach. Dahl recovered a few pieces, finding it was white, lightweight metal. Along with the white metal, the ship dropped about 20 tons of dark metal, which he said looked like lava rock.
What?
When the lava rock would hit the water, he said it was so hot that steam erupted. They took cover after several pieces landed on his boat. A debris hit his son on the arm, burning him, and another piece actually killed his dog.
This really happened. This is crazy.
This has happened, yeah.
Why? Okay, keep going. That's amazing.
After the rain and metal, the craft rose into the air and headed west out to the sea again.
Yep.
Dahl went to his boat and tried to radio for help, but it did not work. They sailed back to the dock, dropping the dog over the side of the sea. Basically, they buried the dog at sea. Dahl took his son to the hospital for treatment and then told his boss, his name was Fred Chrisman, about what happened. Dahl gave Chrisman the camera, and when the prints were developed, they showed the strange airships. However, the negatives had spots on them, which he compared to film damaged by exposure to radiation.
Okay.
Chrisman said he did not believe Dahl's story, but nevertheless, he went back to Maury Island, where he gathered rock samples. He said that while he was gathering the rocks, one of the airships appeared overhead as if they were watching him. What the? Dahl told investigators the next morning a man wearing a black suit visited him and suggested they go to breakfast together. Dahl drove his own car following the stranger's new black Buick to a restaurant. They ate. The stranger asked no questions. Instead, he gave a detailed account of what happened to Dahl the day before. So the stranger's telling him what happened. Yeah. The man in black warned Dahl that bad things would happen to Dahl and his family if he told anyone about the incident. I get goosebumps reading this. Dahl and Christmas, so his boss, sent a package to publisher Ray Palmer in Chicago. A year or two later, Palmer founded Fate magazine. So Ray Palmer, this guy in Chicago, founded a magazine. Right. The package contained a box of metal fragments and a statement about the strange happenings on the 21st and 22nd of July. A few weeks later, Palmer contacted somebody named Kenneth Arnold, who had been doing his own investigating of UFOs. Arnold arrived in Tacoma in late July with another pilot, E.J. Smith. The two of them met with Dahl and Christmas, examined Dahl's boat, and conducted interviews. Dahl and Christmas did not produce the pictures. However, Dahl also told Arnold that his son had disappeared.
What?
Dahl said later that his son was actually found waiting tables in Montana, but he couldn't remember how he got there.
What?
On the afternoon of July 31st, Captain Lee Davison and First Lieutenant Frank Brown in the U.S. Air Force flew up to Tacoma from Hamilton Field, California. In addition to being pilots, the two men were intelligence specialists. They met with Arnold, Smith, and Christman for several hours. One of the officers said that he thought there might have been something to the story, quotation, something to the story, but they had to leave around midnight. They were in a hurry to be at Hamilton Field on August 1st, the day when the Air Force was split from the Army. The two officers flew out of McCord Airfield around 2 o'clock in the morning on a B-25 bomber with a crew of other two men. About 25 minutes later, the airplane crashed near Centralia, Washington. The two enlisted men managed to parachute, but Davison and Brown were killed, making them the Air Force first casualties. So the two guys sent to investigate this thing, Dahl and Christmas said that the Air Force officers took some of the strange metal on board. People thought that they heard anti-aircraft guns shoot down the plane.
Oh, wow.
What the heck? So the two guys that go investigate it from the Air Force and take the metal on plane, the thing gets shot. What in the heck is going on? The local newspaper and the FBI received phone calls saying the plane was shot down to cover up the information Brown and Davison have found. Because of the loss of life, the Air Force broadened its investigation. The FBI launched their own. The Air Force investigators determined that the crash had been a terrible accident. One of the engines caught fire and the men began bailing out. Before Brown and Davison could jump, a wing broke and struck the tail section, which also broke off. The plane went down into a spin. Another Air Force investigator spoke with Dahl and Christmas and visited their boat. He said that the damage he saw did not match the damage the two sailors described. There were no piles of metal on the Maury Island, and the existing examples looked like slag from a metal smelter. His conclusion matched that on the FBI investigator that Dahl and Christmas had faked the whole incident for a publicity stunt. The FBI ended up warning Dahl and Christman that their hoax had not succeeded and that they dropped the matter. The government would not prosecute the men for fraud.
Wow.
At first, Dahl and Christman, they went along with it. They made statements the story was fake, blah, blah, blah. But a few years later, in that magazine which that guy bought, that they sent the stuff to in Chicago, they end up making a statement that the incident actually did happen. And Kenneth Arnold included Maury Island in a 1952 book calling The Coming of Saucers. So today, most people believe Christmas and Dahl faked the incident. Other people believe the U.S. government was behind the conspiracy involving anything from the UFO to dumping nuclear waste into Puget Sound. They believe a shadowy government actually sabotaged the B-25 bomber. Some investigators recently visited the crash site hoping to find some other stuff, but there's no answers have been found. So that is a wild story. That is from MUFON.
That's amazing.
So MUFON's the Mutual UFO Network, and let me tell you, they investigate their stuff. So that was the first report of Men in Black, and that is a wild story.
That is amazing, actually.
This second one, the second official record comes 20 years later by Robert Richardson in Toledo, Ohio. Richardson was driving home one night when he claims he hit a UFO with his car. What? Like a deer?
Here's the deal. You're drunk. I'm pretty sure it's a UFO.
Like, how do you, like, what UFO is like riding along like I-5?
Going like 5 miles an hour.
Right, and just like hitting it. The flying object vanished, but Richardson had a piece of metal from the UFO stuck to his car. He fished the metal out of his car and claims that about a week later, a Men in Black suit appeared at his door and asked for the metal he saved from the crash. When Richardson informed that he gave the metal to the authorities already for testing, they threatened his wife. This is what they said to him. If you want your wife to stay as pretty as she is, then you better get the metal back. He never heard from them again, nor did he know how they discovered the metal ever existed in the first place.
That's wild. That's pretty good.
But still, crashing it, that part that's interesting. Was the UFO just like parked and he like didn't see it, didn't have like then it was no like, they didn't put like their hazard lights on. He was like, boom, crashing into it. He like pulls off the side.
Exactly. It's like a UFO that's having trouble.
Right.
They bought out the
There's that
UFO
Hyundai edition. Yeah.
Now, here's the deal, though. On the flip side of that, though, let's say you're drunk, you hit another car.
I know.
You gotta say it's a UFO.
Right.
And the best
You
part
try
is
to claim it.
When the insurance company says, well, show me proof, like, are they Men in Black or you took the evidence?
Right, exactly.
Dang
that's probably more truth to the story there.
I love that he hit it with his car.
Right.
That's amazing.
1968, a New Jersey resident claims him and his wife were constantly harassed by a man in a black suit. His name was Jack Robinson. He was a UFO researcher who reported that his apartment was rummaged through and there was a man in black suit and a hat, of course a hat, who would constantly be standing outside of his apartment. The couple's friend, Timothy Green Beckley, managed to snap a shot of photo. He just looks like a normal guy. I don't know. All right, this one's kind of weird. 1976, Dr. Herbert Hopkins. He was a UFO researcher. He gets a call from someone who claimed to be a rep from New Jersey UFO organization. So this actually takes place on September 11th, 1976. Dr. Herbert Hopkins, he was living in Maine at the time, Maine's Old Orchard Beach. He was a renowned allergist. He'd done research for years on cause and treatment of multiple sclerosis, but he ended up going down a slightly different avenue in career. For several weeks leading up to this encounter, he was being engaged I guess he enjoyed doing hypnosis, consulting on a case of UFO teleportation in Oxford, Maine, of David Stevenson in 1975. So he's sitting in his house one night and somebody knocks at his door, somebody dressed, a man in a black suit. He lets the man in before he knew what was happening. The guest was impeccably dressed in apparently a new suit, pants perfectly creased, black suit coat, tie and shoes, and starched white shirt. He also wore gray leather gloves. On the top of his head was a black hat, which the man removed, revealing a perfectly smooth bald head. Dr. Hopkins realized before he had even spoken a word to the man that he was totally hairless. No eyebrows, eyelashes graced the man's face. Also, even the dim yellow light in the hall, he can tell the visitor's skin was pale to the point of being nearly white. The only hint of color were about him. He had deep red lips. Dr. Hopkins would swear that the man was wearing lipstick. His nose seemed too small for a man for his height and stature, and his ears were very small, as well as appearing to be lower on the head than they should have been. Okay. Red
That's
flags.
Not okay. That's not okay.
So I don't know why you invite somebody in your house, but Hopkins invited the stranger into his living room. They sat opposite sides of each other in chairs. The stranger asked about the hypnotism sessions with the supposed abductees, and Hopkins answers all the questions. Even though the strangeness of the whole encounters was beginning to impact upon his mind. Who was this guy? He seemed to know about the case that only someone intimately involved would know. Why was he asking these questions? With every answer that Hopkins gave to his inquiries, the man would repeat the exact same phrase. That's the way I understand it. And then it occurred to him that he didn't know the man's name. Things immediately began to steer towards the unknown, and Dr. Hopkins found himself in the presence of something else. First, the man mistakenly brushed his lips with his gray gloves, and a portion of the lipsticks were smeared off, revealing that the man had no lips.
What?
It gets weirder.
Oh,
Then he pointed to Dr. Hopkins' pocket and told Hopkins that he had 2 coins in it. This seemingly random observation was true, though how would he have known this? The stranger requested that Hopkins remove one of the coins and hold it in the palm of his hand, which he did. Watch the coin, the stranger requested. As he observed it, his vision began to grow fuzzy and then waver in his vision. After it changed color, it simply vanished, and the man said that no one on this plane would ever see that coin again.
What?
The stranger was steered by the guests to the Betty and Barney UFO Hill encounter from Exeter.
Classic.
It's one of the first abductions ever recorded.
Yeah.
Do you know what happened to Barney Hill? Asked the stranger. No, I don't, replied, except that he died. Do you know what happened? Do you know what he died from? Asked the stranger. A heart attack, maybe, which is accurate. I guess he died of a heart attack. No, that's not entirely accurate. He died because he knew too much, replied the stranger.
Yeah, they went public real quick.
Right.
Yeah.
Then he arose slowly and awkwardly and began to move towards the door. With slurred speech, he said to Hopkins, "My energy is running low. Must go now. Goodbye." And with that, he left Hopkins wondering who he met and what just happened. He rushed to the door, watched the man depart, but all he saw were very bright blue light bathing the parking lot outside his home.
I'm going to use that now when I want to leave somewhere. I'm not happy being.
My energy is draining.
Low. My energy is draining. I got to go.
In a 1976 Hopkins case remains one of the most detailed reports of interaction with a possible man in black. People who study the phenomena often cite this case as the most important informed report ever recorded because of the ominous visitors. However, a good story doesn't have to be real to be appreciated. It's possible the experience reported by Dr. Hopkins was a fabrication designed to draw its own odd need for attention. In 2008, his nephew reveals to the world his intimate knowledge of the whole episode and explains that the whole thing was a desperate grab for attention by a brilliant but troubled man. Herbert Hopkins, his nephew, my uncle was unfortunately a fantasy-prone individual craved by the center of attention and limelight. On a base level, he sometimes just made things up, no matter how hyperbolic, to top everybody else. As brilliant as he is in many areas, however, he was unskilled at fiction. And for much of the 70s and 80s, he was an alcoholic. Every night he spent alone with a magnum of wine. The bottom line for this particular Man in Black tale is unfortunately pretty mundane. This mysterious being in black, inspired by cheap fiction and alcohol, probably less than malicious intent and more from some sad for attention, was alias a simple lie that needs to be corrected for those serious research in this area. I don't know. You believe the nephew? You believe what actually happens? Something in between? Did somebody tell the nephew?
Yeah.
Go on record and tell the world that your uncle is just a lying, crazy alcoholic? And I don't know. We'll never know.
So let me ask you this.
We'll never know.
Why the cover up? So why cover up UFOs? Why not acknowledge their existence? What is the harm? Because usually we have two sides of this. This is all people making this stuff up in their heads, drunk, whatever, that kind of stuff. It's all made up, seeing weird stuff, right? Or there is a legit cover up. But then why do the cover up? Why?
Well, because the mass population is not ready for the truth. That's why.
Is that so? Good point. So, but then is that based on like a religious standpoint?
Yes.
Because that's what I've heard before. Is that you can't?
Yeah, because the most the largest organizations in the world or religious organizations, and you're going to tell everyone that there's other beings out there that's not created from God, then mass hysteria.
Mm-hmm. And
That's why.
I think it's a solid point. It's a very solid
Or
point.
my opinion.
The other one is that if our own if our own government knows how to do certain crazy like flights and using different power systems, they're using it for almost a military factor. You could use the same type of propulsion or some types of discoveries to help countries that are poor, to help,
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, the technology would be, yeah.
You know what I mean? So like there's a technology. Is it the technology that's getting
Right.
covered up? Because to make this planet be like Tomorrowland,
Right.
I don't know. It's a very interesting
Right.
argument.
I mean, there's so much that I don't think we'll ever know the real truth
Yeah.
of why. I mean, they could just be our technology that we're using, and
Yeah.
we're saying that's aliens.
Yeah.
Or it could be a collaboration between extraterrestrial life and Earth.
Which I love that one. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Very,
mean, who
very
knows?
good stuff.
Who
I
knows?
love it.
I think that's what makes for interesting topic and conversation is the unknown.
Yep. Leads the podcast. I hear.
That's right. And it also leads to men like Dan Aykroyd.
Yes.
He was, so Dan Aykroyd, I don't think I have to explain who Dan Aykroyd is, but in case you don't know who he is, he's an actor. Look him up yourself.
Yeah. SNL, Ghostbusters.
Right. While taking a break from interviews on an episode of the show, so he was filming to do a new show, Dan Aykroyd stepped outside. He was on the phone and he had an experience. And I'm actually going to play the audio instead of me telling. I'm going to play the interview that Dan Aykroyd can explain this.
Welcome to the podcast, Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah. So Dan Aykroyd, he was comedian, actor, producer, writer, incredibly successful businessman. This goes on to say his net worth was like 130 something.
Cool guy.
In 2002, he signed a contract with the Sci-Fi Channel to produce a UFOs Out There series. During a break in the taping, he stepped outside for a cigarette, and then this is what happened.
Well, what happened? We sold the show to Sci-Fi Channel, and it was called Out There, and I basically interviewed all of the people that I admired in various fields of study, like Colin Andrews from the Crop Circle movement, Linda Moulton Howe, the expert on cattle mutilations, John Mack. And let me just put a pin in things right there, because John Mack has taken the study of abductions, UFOs, right out through the other side, and he's going, yes, we know they're here. We know they're coming. We know people have been taken. We know there's experimentation going on. We know people have been told about agendas. What we now have to do is use that as a key and as a motivation to socially transform this planet to a more peaceful, more loving, more tolerant state. So his movement, the movement for social change, has just accepts as a fact abductions, UFOs, interplanetary intervention, and what he's doing is taking it out through the positive side of it and saying, now we must use it to socially transform. And I think his message is great. But I talked to him. I talked to the Allagash guys who were taken in the canoe on that trip in Pennsylvania. The last show we did, I had both Bassett, who has the UFO time clock, and then Greer. Both Bassett and Greer were there. They were my two guests for the day. Well, the show was canceled that afternoon. And I was outside before I knew it was canceled, in between the interviews. And I was outside, and Britney Spears called me because she wanted me to appear on Saturday Night Live with her. And so I was outside having a cigarette. The phone rang. Oh, Britney, how you doing? Oh, sure, of course I will. I turned away like this. I turned back, and there was a black Ford across the road, a black Ford sedan. And I was trying to look at the plate, and the plate seemed kind of like fuzzy, and I was, definitely a police car. And two guys were there, and a big, tall guy got out of the back seat, and he stood in the street on 42nd Street it was. We were at 42nd Street and 8th Avenue, and he looked right at me. And literally, I was on the phone. Hey, oh, sure, of course I'd like for the show. Saw the Ford, went back like this, turned back like a half second later, and it was gone. And that car did not go past me. It did not make a U-turn, because I would have seen 42nd Street. I would have seen that thing take a U-turn and go away. That car vanished. That car was a cloaked vehicle of some type. and whether this was like a warning to me, because the guy got out of the back seat, gave me a real dirty look. That car vanished. I know what I saw. And, it was just this fast. It was, oh, hi, Brittany, sure. Oh, of course, I'd love to. Guy gives me a dirty look. Oh, well, sure. Car gone. That's what happened. And then 2 hours later, we were told we were not to continue taping, and the show was canceled, and none of them would air. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Was that an MIB experience? Black helicopters, military abductions that happen. Sometimes people are taken and they talk about then being visited by, military personnel and debriefed about their abduction. Was it a technology associated with some of these beings that are visiting that wanted to warn me off, or that wanted to give me verification that I was on the right track? I don't know. But I do know I did turn back a second later, and it takes so long for an automobile accelerating from 0 to 40 miles an hour to reach the corner of 8th Avenue and 42nd Street going past me, and then pulling a U-turn and going out towards Times Square. I would have seen that car. And I looked around. I mean, I was looking for that then. It was gone. So I don't know. The tapes exist. I have them. We're going to try to repackage them. We might put them out on DVD.
That's crazy.
That's wild. Where's
that was so the person that published it, his name's Guy Merritt. It was on YouTube. And that's where I found it 9 years ago.
Guy Merritt?
Anyway, crazy story. I mean, if you don't believe anything, I believe Dan Aykroyd.
Boy,
it's a crazy
that's
story.
Just wild.
Such a wild story. A lot of good things to ponder.
There's a lot we just dropped on everybody.
Right. I'll break it up a little bit of little pop culture conspiracy here. So I looked up most popular conspiracy theories. These are a mix between pop culture, history, your regular old conspiracy theories that you probably have heard about your whole life, maybe. Number 1, Taylor Swift is working with the NFL. Swift's relationship with the NFL star Travis Kelce has gained almost constant attention since being linked with him since 2023. The Chiefs and the NFL from viewers who watch the games, the highlights, social media, and more. Her appearance in Arrowhead Stadium. And of course, the Chiefs ended up winning the Super Bowl in 2024.
No, the Chiefs are good. That's why they won.
They went on the right-wing commenters speculating the NFL is rigged, and it's a ploy to get old Joe Biden reelected. But of course, that didn't happen.
Awkward.
Let's see here. Number 2, Avril Lavigne died and is being impersonated. Canadian musician and early icon Avril Lavigne is a subject of famous conspiracy that she died in 2003. As a so-called story goes, Lavigne, who was made famous in 2002 with her hit song Complicated, died the following year, and a woman named Melissa Vandella has been impersonating her ever since. The conspiracy theory, which is said to have emerged in 2005 on a Brazilian fan page, because where else are conspiracy, right, claims that Lavigne struggled with her own skyrocketing fame after release her album Let Go, and used a body double to take on the burden of being famous. Some point in 2003, Lavigne died, and her legacy career lived on with Melissa. In 2022, Lavigne seemingly addressed the conspiracy, making a TikTok that poked fun at the constant comments that she was the real Avril Lavigne.
Love it.
This one, I'm not going to go into like every single detail, but Princess Diana's death was no accident. And there's tons of conspiracy theories around that she
knew too much about UFOs.
Let's see. She was crux of most Diana-related theories. The car accident that killed her was not an accident. At the time of her death, she was dating an Egyptian film producer who died in a limo alongside her, who was supposedly planning to propose to Diana the night of the accident. In the court statement, Dodi's father, Mohammed Al-Fayed, said that they were killed because the monarchy couldn't stand the thought of Diana and Princess Charles' son, heirs to the British throne, having a stepfather who was Egyptian and Muslim. Dodi's father also claimed Diana was pregnant at the time of the crash, although there was no coroner examination said that she was not. Another theory that the limo driver, Henry Paul, who was drunk at the time of the accident, intentionally crashed the car. Because Paul was head of security at the Ritz Hotel in Paris, where a couple had departed from just prior to the crash. Conspiracy theories believe that he might have been on payroll of the National Intelligence Service Group that wanted Diana dead. Others believe that medical care after the crash was deliberately sabotaged for her.
Of course.
Conspiracy theories in the United States rose the differences between French and American approaches to emergency care. Number 4, Beyonce and Jay-Z are Illuminati leaders.
Checks out. I want questions. The Queen.
The Illuminati gets known, gets thrown a lot. There's a lot of conspiracies around that. It stems back about 300 years. The Bavarian Illuminati was in a group that founded in 1776 in Germany. Their group started with just a handful of members and believed to have grown to a couple hundred with ideas of grandeur and influence over political decisions. They believe that the group preserved now, basically people think the Illuminati runs the world, and Jay-Z, who run the world. Jay-Z was the first rope in the conspiracy theory after his rise to fame and fortune in the hip-hop community. The rapper famously makes a triangle shape with his hands as a symbol. Illuminati believers that the triangle represents the secret group. People just look for anything.
I'm going to start doing the triangle.
Right.
That's amazing.
We're going to put it on our website.
Right? Yeah.
Beyonce has thrown the triangle as well, which led people to suspect she's also part of the group.
Makes sense.
Conspiracy theories claim that the couple gives clues to their own allegiance in music, videos, and song. But Beyonce directly addressed it in her song Formation. It is safe to say is likely not true. See here, this is a good one. Aliens built the Egyptian pyramids. This is a long-standing theory that the Egyptian pyramids of Giza was built by aliens. Historians believe that the pyramids took about 85 years to build. They were constructed anywhere between 2589 and 2504 BC, making them about 4,000 years old. But prominent figures like Elon Musk and Joe Rogan have recent years peddled this conspiracy theory after Musk tweeted in 2020 that aliens built the pyramids, obviously. Egyptian officials responded, offering to show him evidence about the theory, including there's tombs underneath the period. While some may write off the conspiracy as just that, some believe it's rooted in racism. What the heck? Grand structure that were built in ancient Greece and Rome seem to be immune with conspiracy theories. We've heard that a million times about the Egyptian pyramids being built by aliens.
Wow.
The flat Earth theory. Oh, I don't want to get into that one because, good Lord.
Oh, boy.
The CIA had a hand in JFK. Lee Harvey Oswald was arrested on November 22nd, 1963 for the assassination. 2 days later, while being transported to a local jail, Oswald was shot and killed by Jack Ruby, a Texas nightclub owner. This shocking event was ripe for conspiracy from the start. Not only was Kennedy shot in broad daylight, but the accused assassin was killed days later, inviting speculation about a cover-up. As early as the late 1960s, more than 50% of Americans didn't believe Oswald acted alone. And as of 2017, 61% of Americans believe the assassination involved a conspiracy of some sort. One popular theory is that the CIA killed JFK in retaliation for the failed Bay of Pigs invasion, which was trying to overthrow Fidel Castro. JFK's brother and the Attorney General initially thought a group of rogue CIA agents were involved in JFK's death. Oh, and Ted Cruz's father was apparently involved in it. And there's just all types of crazy conspiracies out there about that one. The moon landing was fake. This is probably the most famous one, right?
Love this one.
2019, a small survey showed that 10% of Americans still believe that the moon landing was a hoax.
Mm-hmm. Too good to be true.
1969, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin became the first humans, or did they? They absolutely did. But in 1970s, 30% of Americans believe that the moon landing has been fake. So in 1969, it happens. Yeah. By the 1970s, there was already 30% of Americans that were like, no. Alternative histories soon materialize in case of the fake moon landing. There's been tons of satire written about it. The primary idea is that the book was footage of the astronauts taking their first steps on the moon surface, was hundreds of millions of people were watching, was actually shot at Nevada's Area 51.
Yeah.
Another hotbed for conspiracy theories. And then I won't read too much about this one, but the mass shootings like Sandy Hook were false flags.
Oh, yeah.
Sick people talking about that one.
Yeah.
COVID-19 was population control. That was some sort of bioweapon. And the last one, Area 51 is home to a lot of aliens. This is probably the most, popular one, right?
Yep.
Been the scene of UFO stories. And while we do know officially confirmed by the Pentagon in 2017 that the government does have an interest in collecting and analyzing anything that could be a threat to aerospace, the exact work being done at Area 51 is still a complete mystery. The whole vault of interesting conspiracy theories has emerged the years go on. The most popular school of thought from conspiracy groups is that there's actual alien life form from the accidental crash landing on the Earth hidden in the hills, the desert being subject to testing and experiments, which from 1947 from the original crash. And I think if you get close to Area 51, don't they come out and like,
Yeah, you can.
you get like chased away,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, they have government vehicles. There's helicopters patrol. You can get arrested for going too far in.
Yeah.
They don't mess around. There's so many videos of people trying to sneak in and that kind of stuff.
And then like a group, like a tons of people recently within the last few years,
they'll storm it. Yeah.
Right. They were going to show up, but nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
Right. They were just, there's a hidden chamber filled with government secrets behind Mount Rushmore. I've never been myself, but when it comes to American conspiracy theories, this one probably comes from the movie National Treasure. I guess there's an 800-foot staircase leading from the front of the monument into what is meant to be the Gilded Hall of Records is now a much emptier version. In fact, it serves as a memorial to the sculptor himself. After the budget for the monument was cut in 1939, a year after the ground was broken, progress on the chamber stopped. Borglum, who was the person that constructed it, passed away 7 months later, leaving a mysterious hole that has since become a topic of conversation to those intrigued by historical conspiracy theories.
Wild.
So generations of the Borglum's family gathered to pay respects. As you can imagine, where there is a room with no easy entry, there is in doubt. Some believe that there's one of the government conspiracy theories that the visitors' prohibited space is used to hide secret files. There you go. I'm sure there's so many. That's just from teenvogue.com, which I found is very credible.
Teen
source.
Vogue, that's solid.
Very
there
credible.
you go.
Yeah.
I love it.
Which is probably as credible as you're going to get with any other government conspiracy. So
I love it.
that was a lot to cover.
Hey, man, that was a lot to cover.
My jaw hurts from talking.
This is wild. Okay, so
Just kidding.
I did come up. This is the first time we're going to do this. We're going to surprise 2 questions.
Oh, yes.
Now, I got this from womenshealthmagazine.com.
Oh, yes.
Because I just Googled funny questions to ask,
Perfect.
right?
Perfect.
But what's weird,
womensmagazine.com.
you want to talk about a weird one, is one of the questions I was going to ask you, because you can imagine this is off the cuff, okay?
Yeah.
But the fact that you already talked about her is what's wild.
Okay.
So my first
I
question
love it.
for you, Elle, the first time you're hearing this question, what Taylor Swift era perfectly describes your life at the moment and why? For our listeners, Elle's mouth is
I don't
gasped.
even know what that means.
So Taylor Swift,
Yeah.
obviously, true Swifties know that she had different eras in her career. What era best defines you? What at the moment? Because it could change,
Probably my teenage years.
Okay, because she did spend time in New Jersey when she was a teenager.
Yeah, that's why.
Very good
I
answer.
just made that up.
I'm going to go with the Cats era because that just humors me that she was in the movie Cats.
Oh.
And you do know, you want to talk about conspiracy theory? There is a butthole version of Cats out there. The movie Cats, when it was first done, they had buttholes and they had to pay this. They did like a screening and someone goes, I can't get past the butthole. So they had to pay to have the butthole digitized out. Special effects
so
out.
many viewers. Yeah.
So there you go. UFOs, the cat buttholes. Okay. So
Why it's number 6, episode 60.
if you could attend any celebrity wedding, which one would it be?
Oh, I like this question.
Okay.
But if they're already married, does it matter?
It doesn't matter. Yeah. If you could attend any celebrity wedding, which would it be?
I would probably say Will Ferrell.
Oh, that'd be a fun one. Great
Just
guess.
because it would be great guess,
Dan would be
funny.
there.
Yeah, I would probably say Will Ferrell. I think that would be a great one.
I'm going to keep on with the Taylor Swift thing. And I'm going to do Taylor Swift and Travis
I knew you
Kelce.
were going to say that.
I would be more than happy
Yeah.
to shake Patrick Mahomes' hand. He's going to be there. You know
Andy
that.
Reid beating some
Andy
cheeseburgers.
Reid and I will have a cheeseburger together.
Right. There you go.
That would be the
Yeah.
one. Okay, there we go. I
Well,
love how. Elle, where can people find us?
Well, first of all, it's cold out.
Yes.
It's probably cold out in the majority of where you're listening from. And if you want a nice sweatshirt,
A nice one.
a nice comfy one,
I'm wearing mine right now.
go out to www.theoregonfilespodcast.com. Check out our merch. There's tons of color options. You can even get a t-shirt to wear underneath your sweatshirt. That way, when you get a little too warm in the heat, boom, you can represent the Oregon Files podcast sweatshirt, t-shirt. You can even be holding a mug, sipping on something to wet your whistle. Anyway, you can find us anywhere you get your podcasts. Mark puts it on YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's free.
It's free.
It's free. Just subscribe to it, comment. We would. This is a great episode to get people's comments, takes, reactions, your own experiences with UFOs, maybe Men in Black. And if Mark and I get a cease and desist order, if you don't hear from us from episode 61, you will know why.
We made Dan
This is
Aykroyd
it.
mad.
That's right. We made
Or Taylor Swift.
Right. Or we're everyone in between. You can Google us now.
We are Googleable.
You want to email us, OregonFilesPodcast@yahoo.com. You can even go on the website and give us comments. It's happened before. It'll probably happen again. I'm sure we said something stupid this episode. But 60 episodes in, pretty incredible. We are working on getting some guests on here to talk. That will be coming for sure. And hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving, and look forward to talking to you guys later.
Thanks. Cheers.